Oh, hello, John.
Oh, hi,
I'm
Dylan. Well,
Dylan.
first review, I'm in a rage because technology refuses to cooperate, and it makes me
This is the
very
second straight
angry.
day.
Well, here's the problem with post-Zoom streaming things, and this is a blanket statement for everyone when they go like,
Yeah.
why did it work for me? It's because this technology is all new and been developed in a year and a half, and they're just throwing it out there, so sometimes it doesn't work, and I hate everyone's elitist like, oh, it's like, shut the fuck up. None of you know how this works either. None of you knows how it works. You can all eat my asshole. You're all losers.
What a great way to start out our first episode in our 3-part series on Bret the Clit Man Chart.
I didn't even know his brother Dean died in disgrace, but let me tell you, we learn a lot.
My whole family's dead. My whole family's dead.
We learned that Mr. Hobson loves Bret Hart. We love it so much. He really writes very nicely about a man who, let's be honest, essentially was tormented by an orc named Stuart and then unleashed on the world.
Oh, man. The fact that he says there's 2 guys that raised me, my dad and Stu, and I was petrified of Stu, is insane. And you can tell that Stu Hart probably had an early version. Well, here's the other thing is Stu Hart's a classic guy where he's like, yeah, you got no money. Why not? I have 14 kids. Why don't you just have less kids?
By the way,
I'm religious.
In that Dylan reveres that sort of behavior.
Have the kids. Worry about the money later.
The reason why I have to have all the kids, Mr. Gott, is that I don't like my wife and she hates being pregnant, and so
Well, that's the crazy thing about...
no, there's the thing with old Stu is I'm actually very afraid of anyone that's shorter than me, but I love to live in fear.
This is the weird thing about Stu Hart, though, and people like this is where we take shit from other generations, millennials do, for being bad with money, and we get a lot of Uber Eats, and it's like, you guys got too much Uber Eats, and then you look at other generations, like, I'm the youngest of 15. It's like, I don't know, man. I think it's okay to buy a pizza every now and then if you're not making 900 kids that are all angry.
Here's the point I always make with this stuff, and I completely agree. Let's all enjoy Dylan's mug, by the way. Treat yourself. 2017.
Pretty much.
Yeah, here's the thing that you always have to remember, and it always drives me. Please lean back. You just unfocused your camera.
No. I wanted everyone to think they were having a stroke for a second.
No. There you go. Guys, you should really check out the video that we are doing on Patreon. I hate it every day. I hate it. We had a great podcast going. I could do it from wherever. Now I always have to make sure that there's a camera set up, and I hate it.
Yeah.
This is not supposed to be a professional program, Dylan. This is supposed to be two incels that grew out of that behavior before it was a thing in society, who learned how to speak to women and understood progressive politics. Anywhere else, we'd be considered right-wing. In the world of wrestling fans, we're essentially Joan Baez. And I'm not supposed to have to look at... I shouldn't have to look at myself when I'm making this many cum jokes. Look at how I'm holding my coffee.
Well, this is the fun part about podcasts. They added video, and now people have studios, and it's like, wasn't the whole point of this that, I remember there's a program, it's Cum Town, and then they showed a picture of them recording, and it's just 3 fat guys lying on a couch, but lying down where this is the only part of you on the couch, your upper neck. And one guy was like, "Oh, it really ruined my visual." And one of the dudes went, "What did you think this was?"
Yeah.
Did you think it was us at a recording booth with a producer being like, "Yeah, you got it"? So it's like, no, John in various apartments and me trying to find a wall that doesn't have a picture of my dick on it.
Yeah. There is, by the way, a picture of Dylan's dick on that wall. It's just so big that's just shaft.
It's just no. So this is it's all. I learned how to draw in. You'll turn it off and you'll see my dick, but that's what I do. I draw.
It's
dicks.
Dylan sat in front of. You know those pictures.
It's like the movie Memento.
You stared at really hard, you'd see a sailboat. Mm-hmm. That's what Dylan's got going on. I, by the way, never saw the sailboat and didn't believe anyone did.
I was like, why would I stare at this thing? I'll just go see a real fucking sailboat. Super easy, bitch.
Yeah, that's why Dylan was kicked out of Stouffville Elementary, because he pointed at his dick and went, "I got your sailboat right here. Stare at this."
Yeah, fuck that, huh?
All right, so we're talking about
Bret the Clit Man Fart. He's 3 years. He's 3 years old. Younger than my mom.
He's 3 years old when his dad turns to him and goes, "You better start putting the ring together."
Well, that's the crazy thing is I didn't know that. Well, I did. I assume at some point I did know because I read his book. But Stu really wanted him to be an amateur wrestler, and
Yeah.
then Bret was like, "No, we need money." And Stu was like, "You know what's better than money? Dominance over a man." And then Bret was like,
you
"No,
know what's
I'm good."
better than money? Something that also annoys my wife. She wants you to have money. I don't want you to.
Hey, Dad, is cheating good?
Here's the problem with you millennials: is you think marriage is supposed to be about love. It's supposed to be about breaking the woman's spirit.
Hey, Dad, I cheated on my test, and you know what it felt like? It felt real fucking good. I think I'm going to do that to all women now.
Yeah, that's
That's by
good.
Bret Hart.
Yeah. Okay, this is it's Bret Hart. The thing you have to remember is I am both of time and not of time. I am a being that just exists throughout. I am totally neutral, totally fair, super annoying.
Bret Hart would have. This is
Do you
great.
guys
Yeah.
know what my favorite noise in the world is, Dylan? It's me, Bret Hart. The noise of a coffee pot being placed perfectly back on the element of its coffee making machine.
He would have fucking lost his mind over the AEW win-loss record. He would have been like, "This is the greatest thing in the history of
Oh
professional
my god, that's
wrestling."
amazing. First of all of these are inaccurate because I guarantee, do you not think he had he knows his win-loss record? I guarantee he knows his win-loss record and he has an asterisk in his mind over the Montreal Screwjob. That one should have been a DQ.
Tie.
But it's still, it's a tie. It still counts.
That's why he was so upset, is because he has OCD and it didn't count as anything in his mind.
Well, Bret Hart is the last person to basically believe in kayfabe. He is the last wrestler. He's the last person in wrestling that was like, we have to protect the business. Everyone else was like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. But he was like,
he treated it seriously, and Bret Hart. Go for it.
Okay, this is jumping ahead, and we will go through his early life in a second, but I do want to say this. He treats it seriously, but now it's to the point of fuck off, Bret. Bret, I know, Bret. I know your life has been awful. It has been abject. You are a millionaire, and you have had a fucking tough. Your childhood is a nightmare, and your adulthood was basically seeking out those same figures and businessmen, and then they fucked you. But like, he now is like, well, everyone knows that it was a conspiracy theory that Bill Goldberg was in that match to end my career. It's like, no, it wasn't, Bret. He wasn't prepared to be in the ring, and so he fucked up. It was a fucking mistake. It's a crime. You lost your career as a result. Absolutely, completely agree.
And later a stroke.
And got a stroke. It was not a conspiracy theory from Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan was there to fuck your wife, and he realized...
He tried.
And he tried, Bret. He tried very hard. But hilariously, all of your attempts to stop him from ruining your wrestling career just prevented him from fucking your wife. Ah, my light!
That's the good thing about doing this in the daytime. I just opened up these windows. I mean, I still look like I'm in a chamber, but whatever.
Oh, yeah. We both look like we are about to go, and then that's when the storm begins.
Ooh, look at this. If you're on the video, I'm tickling your nose. So...
Yeah.
Bret, early life can be surmised like this. He had 600 goddamn siblings. He slept in the same bed as Smith Hart.
Oh, yeah, right here. When I read that, I was just like, this poor son of a bitch. And then Smith Hart's just full smoking a cigarette at 8 years old. Hey, Bret. Do you ever wonder what a dead body tastes like? No, Smith. Me neither.
And this says a lot about Bret, is that, as you said, Dean Hart was his brother. Obviously, Dean Hart passes away within the span of this episode, so before the Hart Foundation.
And do you know what's the best about Dean Hart dying?
Interesting way to put it. Continue.
He had a rift with Bret that Bret clearly just could have let go because Dean was absolutely in the wrong and fucked up. And he should have forgiven him at some point. It is his brother. Or his parents should have stepped in. And here's what happened: is Dean sold Bret a car and then just took his money and didn't give him the car. And then Bret just went, well, I don't talk to you anymore. Which I was like, yeah, that's kind of what you're going to have to do. Also, go to your parents and be like, hey, you raised a thief, you awful people. And then they would be like, which one?
That's
did you
the
know we
crazy
don't have
thing.
a door? Smith stole all our doors. Not even for... I asked him if it was for drug money, and he just said, I just want to feel something.
This is the crazy thing, though, is that the Hart family is essentially like a bunch of low-level criminals and then Bret and Owen.
Yeah, it's more than low level. It's like they are classic prairie Western Canada criminals. They're wearing a shell snow jacket and they're smuggling something stupid like cigarettes or fraudulent Joe Louis. That's what the problem is with the fucking Hart Foundation, the Hart family crew.
Classic, that's classic. Like if they weren't white, they would have been in jail for so long. But they're white.
If
so
they
it's like,
weren't
get
white,
back out on the street, Bruce Hart. You
if
stole
they
those
were not
cigarettes
white,
fair and square.
The Calgary Police Department would have burned the house down just on principle. Just so we know who's firing first in this war. And then fair. That's fair.
I'm trying to I'm literally trying to count all the hearts. So this is, imagine you're Bret Hart, and this is who you have: Smith, Bruce, Keith, Wayne, Dean, Ellie, Georgia Louise, Bret, of course, Allison, Ross, Diana, and Owen. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 kids.
I can't. Like, also, if there's
That's
like
so many. That's like, if Stu knows your full name, you're a celebrity in the house.
Also, like,
it's like, hey Smith, how's it going? It's like, Dad knows my name.
What's amazing is there's blood feuds in the like him and Ellie are never friends. Also, which one is
what's Bret's middle name?
Owen
Sergeant.
Hart. Oh, that's right. It's Bret Sergeant Hart. Yeah, because he has a kid's name like Blade.
Sergeant.
And I think Kabuki,
because Bret Hart, which we'll get into in part 3, loves weed.
Oh,
like Bret Hart might be buried. He's like, I'm gonna be buried with my wife, the sickest fucking bud you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Guy.
Does Bret Hart? The big rumor around Canada is also Bret Hart smokes cigarettes, and I pray to God they're export A's. I want them to be export A's.
What a dirty rumor.
I love that it's, you just smoke cigarettes. I like, by the way, that I was like, Bret would keep that. Bret would be open about how much he's cheated on his wife. Hey, fucking Four Eyes. Get your fucking face in the camera, you dumb bitch. This is what you keep doing.
Yeah, because I'm reading the notes.
Bring the notes closer so that you can see them and be on camera. Yeah, that's much better.
Okay. Everyone can see my sick-ass phone case now.
Oh, yeah, that is a sick phone case.
I just wanted
How much was that phone case? Dylan, how much was that phone case?
Oh, it was free. I stole it from Amazon. I went in
that's right,
warehouse.
But don't steal from fucking us. Join our Patreon. Boom. Plug in the middle. Are you fucking happy now? Got?
So here's some of the cartoonish. Here's the problem with Stu Hart is that his abuse of his children is so cartoonish that it almost doesn't even count.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
It's like every time Bret tells the stories, and it's like, oh, I remember one time I forgot my knapsack in the dining room, and everyone knows the knapsack goes in the living room. And Stu beat me so bad every blood vessel in my eyes burst. And then I tripped over a cat's carcass, thought the cat was dead. Cat came alive, gave me $5. And then you're like, what a nightmarely pleasant story that was.
Yeah, I cooked a steak for my dad. It was medium and not medium rare. So he got in his truck and drove it through the wall of the house.
Yep. I'll never forget, I got 88% on a math quiz. He called me the N-word and demanded to know why I didn't get 85%, which is what he got. Do you think I'm better? Did I think I was better than him?
Well, here's one. Legit. Him and Dean get an argument, and Dean's accidentally starts a fire, so Stu threw Dean head first down the stairs.
That's right.
Head first, very important there. Feet first, bad. Head first, terrifying. That's a cartoon. Are you familiar with the Fresh Prince when Jazzy Jeff gets thrown out of the house? Because that's what Stu Hart did to his own kids.
In my head, as I was reading that sentence, I assumed it was into the fire. That's when it said stairs. I was just like, that's actually all right. Like what Stu Hart did in my head versus what he did in reality. What I think he's capable of is actually more than he's capable of. So it's a very weird read because I'm just like, when it's like, and then Dean passed away, and I was like, well, Stu killed him because Dean didn't have change when Stu needed change for a Calgary son.
Well, think about this as well. You're not just being abused, like you're not being physically abused by like a guy who's like, yeah, I peaked in high school and now I'm shit. You're being abused by an Olympian.
Yeah, you're being abused by a guy that is somehow successful in Calgary, but no one really can explain how. Like they're like,
because he was an Olympian, as we discussed on this program before. Stu Hart's like an Olympian in the last time Canada has Canada eliminates their amateur wrestling program for a spell and doesn't put anyone in the Olympics for quite a while. And Stu Hart's like one of the last Olympians they have in amateur wrestling. And obviously every country wants to think that it's the classic, like, we could beat you up in a fight, and your amateur wrestlers and your boxers are the guys where it's like, well, that guy was super tough. And Stu Hart, if I'm not mistaken, medaled the Olympics. So, and especially in Calgary, that's like a super part of pride.
Yeah,
so
but
he's like a local celebrity.
One thing though,
so he can go fucking full Road Warriors on Saturday mornings on his kids if he wants.
oh good God!
Ooh, he's really hulking up. Who's he fighting? His 5-year-old son.
Ellie, put Bret on your shoulders. I'm trying something. Hey, what a rush it is to know that I could hurt one of my kids.
The hardest part of the ring is the side. That's where I pile drive my kids.
What's the toughest part of the wrestling business? Controlling your erections when someone is injured. You got to tape it down. That's what I always said. You got to tape it down. Why? Because you don't want to be stabbing a fellow in the back when he's breaking his knee. That ruins the vibe.
So, here's another one of the child abuses.
Oh, good.
All right, here I'm reading exactly from Bret's book here. When I angrily refused, Stu grabbed me by the hair and flung me into the back seat of the car, busting my forehead open just above my right eyebrow. And I drove back home. On the drive back home, I pressed my T-shirt into my eye to stop the blood from dripping all over his new car. He asked me to please not say anything to my mom. And feeling sorry for him, I promised I wouldn't say a word. He asked me what he could do to make it up for me for splitting my head open. I told him a bike. I was the only brother who didn't have one yet. As soon as we got home, he told my mom exactly what happened.
What a psycho, right, everybody? This is the thing I took away from that.
So it's
story,
like, please feel sorry for me, and immediately taking it away. So it's like, actually, I think that's physical abuse. And then he's like, you know what I'll also do? Emotional abuse. Stu.
Yeah, Stu Hart. You'll need more than one therapist if I'm your dad, Stu Hart.
With the 12 kids,
cripple your emotional maturity and make you afraid of someone's hands, Stu Hart. Hey, who's making breakfast? It's Stu. For some reason, it's liver and onions, and we're 4 years old. Why is he not wearing pants? Oh, my God. He's wiping his ass with all of our clothes and claiming that we're to blame for our mom not, quote unquote, cleaning my asshole with her toilet mouth. Oh, Stu, you're a bad dad.
You know, it's hard being a father at 12.
I don't like the paper on my butt. I like it when Helen cleans the turds with her tongue.
You know, some people say it's challenging to be a father at 12, and I say to them, not only do I have time to emotionally abuse, but the real love is physical abuse, and that's what I really take my time on.
Excuse me, how were you able to raise one world champion and one failure that can't identify sailing equipment? And I tell you, the easiest way to do it is treat your children like they're your actual enemies. That's the way to do it.
But they were super poor in the territory until Archie the fucking Stomper Goldie comes in and turns Stampede around.
Bret Hart loves Archie the Stomper Goalie, and here's what I think happened is he saw Archie Goldie when Stu was like, hey, get in the ring and then kiss me. And Archie was like, on the cheek, not the mouth, Stu. And then he was like, why, you could stand up to Stu? And that's why he likes Archie. Because Archie Goldie is a very good wrestler, but he's not as good as Bret in Bret's head thinks he is.
Well, Archie Goldie is also a heel, and he's also beating up his dad in the ring, which I guarantee was pretty slick for Bret.
Oh yeah, this is what I'm talking. Why does Bret like Archie Goldie so much? Because Archie Goldie got vengeance for Bret and Bret's siblings.
Yeah, it'd be super funny to be at Stampede where everyone's screaming at Archie Goldie, and then the only people cheering for him are like nerds and his own children.
Yeah, his
like
own children.
Stu's children.
Of course.
And
Here's
Helen
my question.
just being like, get him, Archie. Stab him in the fucking face.
Yeah, go on. Who's the Hart kid that produced Teddy Hart? I know it's one of the girls.
that produced Teddy Hart?
Yeah.
You talk about stuff and I'll look that
It
up.
gets so confusing because this is the thing with it also, which is imagine.
I mean, with 12 kids, that's quite the tree. It's more of a family bush, you know?
Oh, Dylan, you're a rascal of the
I'm a
highest
scamp.
order.
I'm a scamp.
You certainly are. You know what? I consider myself pranked. Oh, my backside is sore from your drummings and your lashings, and I deserve every single one of these picadillos. You are an absolute rasky boy.
Edward Annis, obviously, is Teddy's real name.
Teddy Hart, by the way, I'm going to say this. Of all of the people from the Harts, it's amazing they're not all like this. Also, I want to just take this moment, and we're going to say it right now. Let's stop bothering Martha Hart about her husband being in the Hall of Fame. Like, if that Dark Side of the Ring taught us nothing, they were like, just to be clear, we feel that
stopped. I think that stopped with that Dark Side of the Ring. Anyone who saw that Dark Side of the Ring was like, oh, wow.
Yeah, like,
mind.
oh, yeah, good point. And also, you're like, it's also so nice to see people with heart blood in their veins that don't make you actively feel awful for liking wrestling. Like every other Hart family member, especially like of the 12 kids, you see them and you're always like, oh, you've just smoked inside your whole adult life. Like you have really not even tried a bit to figure this out.
But Bret in high school, not the best student, and like a lot of people who are predisposed to being athletic, he discovers sports, he discovers amateur wrestling. He loves it. But he's going to Mount Royal College. He's a very good amateur wrestler there. He takes filmmaking, doesn't really like filmmaking, and
Of course, far too interesting for Bret Hart. Bret, what's your student film? I just filmed the sky. It's the most.
I did my taxes and I filmed it and told people how to do it. Bret Hart, if it was now, he would just do instructional videos on YouTube.
No. If it was now,
So
Bret Hart would be one of those people. It's very prevalent in Britain where they go, "I'm a centrist liberal." Actually, I just believe that anyone who isn't a white person should be killed. And you're just like, whoa. Yeah, that's who Bret
I have
would
a
be.
14-hour video on how to properly put a piece of paper in a 3-ring binder.
Yeah. First of all, and I got to stress this, if you do not have a proper 3-hole punch, you're going to need to go and get that before the first 3 hours of this video.
That's not a 5-star binder. Throw this goddamn video in the trash. That's right.
We will
make a DVD of this YouTube video and throw it in the trash.
Exactly correct. I assume YouTube is just a place where DVD videos are stored on. I don't know what the internet is. Do you think Bret Hart knows what the internet is? I think he thinks he's just writing letters.
There's that. Fuck, how long ago was it? But that like Eminem didn't know that you could watch porn online, and it was like 2010. He was like, "Why do I have all these DVDs then?" But it was like crazy late. I don't know. Someone should look that
Eminem,
up.
Because Eminem would be like, he's like, "Why do I have these 11 women coming to my house and just having sex in front of me?"
So much work.
Yeah, it's just I always have to put down a tarp.
Evites I've sent out. This is terrible.
Oh my God. I just still remember the greatest time of that was when you still had to print out Google Maps instructions.
Oh, yes. And you get lost.
Or the classic MapQuest instructions. Always phenomenal.
MapQuest. Turn left at this street. All right.
I remember it being 2011. Comedian Winston Spear had printed out the instructions on how to get to London, Ontario. God bless that man. I need you all to know this. It's literally you just drive on one highway until you turn left.
And there's a bunch of signs that say London, Ontario that you pay attention to.
Yeah. Still felt good though.
Still felt safer. Anyway, Bret, of course, does not go into amateur wrestling because a big part of amateur wrestling is cutting weight, and Bret likes cutting fucking weed.
Yeah, he does. He loves weed. He likes trimming the seeds off that weed and trimming the fucking respect off of his relationships by sleeping with other women. Welcome to Bret Hart, ladies and gentlemen.
I think it's very important that the marijuana community have guys like Bret Hart, where it's like, just because you smoke weed doesn't mean you're like fun.
Yeah, that's a great. Yeah, I do agree when like people are like, "Can you believe what Sean Morley says?" and also that he likes weed, and I'm like, "Yeah, guys,
yes.
what I guess no one knew except wrestling fans forever
comedians
and stand-up comedians is that weed doesn't make you cool. Big losers love weed. Big bitter
losers.
big fat losers wearing White Sox t-shirts with a son and a wife sat in front of a white
Who are
wall.
those guys?
Yeah, they sound like fucking losers.
Who are
I tell you
those
what.
guys?
Yeah. It's not some guy whose hair is balding in a way that it's making one little patch seem much thinner than
The
it actually is,
Island.
wearing a cat in space t-shirt. Yeah, can't be those losers.
Are we both gonna have the island? Is that how we're balding?
I'm so excited to go bald because of course I have two friends who are also going bald. That Dylan's fingering. Dylan's yeah.
Go for it.
They're going bald, and they are both very clearly using products to prevent it, and always are like, "Hey, you can do something about that." And I was like, "No, I'm going down with the ship. My dick will work until I'm dead. You fucks."
Exactly, and it's also like those people who are like, "Nah, I'm not gonna do the treatment that'll ruin the last like bit of my life. I'm just gonna style this hair." You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm just gonna be a hot baldy.
Yeah, just accept it. Just accept
Here's the thing:
it.
if you're going bald, it just knows that in your mid 40s to mid 50s, you just have to do jujitsu for a couple of years. That's just what you have to do, and then you are a fucking stone cold silver fox until about 65.
Yeah, stay
And
from
then
it.
And then I move into my favorite phase of my entire life, which will be nonsensically get a belly and just always have glasses of wine near a lake.
Listen, what I would way rather do and what I will do is rather than like people don't tell you this, but rather than like spending all that money on hair replacement treatment, you can spend a bit of money on getting a fake fucking tan.
Goddamn right.
And then you're a fake tan bald guy. I'm actually Italian now. The first half of my life
God.
I was painfully white, but now Mediterranean.
Yeah, Dylan, tell me your lasagna recipe.
Oh, here's what you do. Pay someone else to make it. Man.
Boom. Italian.
Man. You know Bret Hart started professional wrestling in Stampede Wrestling. Did you know that, John?
I had no idea. I assumed he started in the Carolinas like everyone else on this goddamn program. Also, before we get to that, how does he lose his virginity? It's the story that will haunt me for the rest of my life.
Helen fucks him.
Yeah, Helen fucks him. Helen fucks him.
Helen fucks him on
No,
Christmas.
it's somehow worse. Fuck off camera.
And everybody
Fuck
for
off
a
camera.
gift.
Oh, no, I'm all out of focus. Stu makes a ring rat fuck Bret. And that's how Bret loses
That's
his
what they're
virginity.
Also, every time I've been with a woman, I've been like, "You're a ring rat." That's what I tell them.
Yeah, of course.
That's how you...
What I like about wrestling is the terms are both dehumanizing and annoying to say. It's the boys. Oh, so they're not adults, they're little boys with wet mouths and weird booger mustaches. You fuck.
It's crazy that they would call women ring rats, and they were still like, "Yeah, I'll fucking fuck New Jack."
What's crazy is they'll say like when you talk about Stampede, Primetime Brian Lee made his favorite ring rat get Primetime tattooed on her thigh, so when other dudes were eating her out, they knew that was his property.
Still nice they would go down on her though.
Well, oh, Dylan, what a terrible silver lining to a black cloud filled with cat piss.
Just imagine this. Everyone close your eyes and imagine Jim the Anvil Neidhart just sucking your poon.
Oh, fucking, it's Christmas in July.
Nah.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Well, you say you're going to shake the pussy while we're going to rock the pussy.
So, did you know Stampede Wrestling, 1978, Bret starts in Stampede because he wants money. And
Yes.
this is when Tom Billington got into Stampede Wrestling. He taught
Oh,
him-
I don't know who that is. I pranked you, Dylan. It's the Dynamite Girl.
Oh, the Dynamite Man.
Oh, you pranked me. We double pranked each other. It's the Dynamite Little Boy.
And his Rick Martel's brother, Michelle Martel, passes away, and that's Bret's like first friend in wrestling. So got off to a good start.
Yep.
Bret Hart, don't get to know him. He is the Black Widow Spider of wrestling.
No, it's just Bret's life is hell. Bret, like
Jesus, right?
Bret is basically paying for the karma
It's
of
the monkey
Stu.
paw, isn't it? He was like, I want to be a millionaire on a monkey paw.
Yeah, that's what it's like, and it's like, great, this is gonna come. No, and what it is Stu. I think it's Stu is like, I want to have a son that's a wrestling world champion, and they're like, all right, but the method that which you're gonna do that is gonna bring a lot of pain to this kid because it's that thing of like, Dean. There's nothing he could have done to prevent Dean Hart from passing away. It was a car accident. But he was raised in a household where there was only chaos and only definite black and white emotions. Dean wronged him, so Dean must be never spoken to again to protect Bret's old psyche, which is part of the trauma that he got from being around Stu. Then Michelle Martell died because Stu stabbed him in the heart with an ice pick and then claimed it was cancer.
Yeah.
And he did that because of a blood sacrifice. Because Michelle Martell was like, maybe I will use the sharpshooter. And then Stu just went, no. And then stabbed him in the heart.
Very quickly, Bret is a very good wrestler. Of course, he's having those matches with the Dynamite Kid. Of course,
he's wearing the only time you see a wrestler in baggy red Speedo trunks. That's the best thing about
Bret Hart.
Cowboy Bret Hart in the baggiest trunk.
There's certain guys who should not wear trunks. Like I was watching Dynamite this week. Aleister Black should not wear trunks. You got to wear pants. And Bret Hart's the same thing. And also Kevin Nash too. It's like you guys.
Yeah, but Kevin Nash did that because Kevin Nash was always smart. Because Kevin Nash, it's very clear it's hard for Kevin to do leg day. So he always had, because his legs are so long, they always look fucking stringy. So he always wore long baggy pants.
Good for him.
Say what you want about the clique, they always knew how to hide their fucking flaws. You know what I'm saying?
But it's like tall guys, you kind of have to. If you're tall and lean to like look intimidating, you kind of have to wear the pants. But like Bret's a weird thing because he's like squat and big like Stu was, but he still looks great in a fucking single.
Oh, listen, if he's fucking laying on a bearskin run like that fucking poster of fucking Vince, yeah.
But Bret Hart's
fucking tongue.
Stacked as fuck, that guy.
He certainly is, Dylan. He's a real fucking pile of delish.
And he's so young when he gets into the WWF, but he's already a fantastic wrestler.
Yeah, so basically what's fascinating about this is he's in Calgary for the Stampede Wrestling. And then of all the territory buyout deals that Bret does, this one is the stupidest. It's by and far the stupidest.
Yeah, we'll talk about this when we'll go to break. But other thing I want to touch on is that like Bret's clearly the best wrestler of his brothers. But it's a weird thing where like usually you obviously the Hart brothers are the people that you would talk. The Hart brothers are the people that the Hart brothers, you'd obviously be like, oh, they're just going to push their sons. But also it's like there's so many of them that they can't. So Bret kind of is like...
I'll take it one step further. You fucking hot boy. You're so fucking hot.
Yeah.
Bret came along at the exact moment where Stu was still torturing his children. But he was
just
older.
Finishing up.
So he was tired to a point. So Bret got the drive, I must do good at this so daddy will love me, but wasn't already injured going into the wrestling business from 18 years of being attacked by an adult. And I hate that I think
That's
I'm right
so
on this,
funny.
Paul. I think that that's correct. I think that that's like, if you look at it, like what were the faults of the other ones where it's like they were too squatty? That's because like Keith and fucking Gary, what's the other one? There's the blonde guy, the blonde one. There's Keith and Bruce. Those two are the like the other Harts that almost got jobs a couple of times. Those guys, like they all definitely had physical limitations, or they were too old to go anywhere else but Stampede. But Bret like came across at the perfect time and had like the Stu Hart drive minus all of the trauma. He had most of it, not all.
Being attacked by an adult is such an amazing way to put it.
Yeah, that's
Where
what
it's
it
like
was.
I guarantee he's like, I gotta stay in ring shape. I better fight my kids.
Yeah. Like, bear in mind, Stu Hart like tells stories which I don't believe, which is like, when I was a boy, we had to live in the woods. And it's like, no, you didn't, Stu. No, you didn't. Or if you did, that's because your dad was the person who created you, and he was like, you live in the woods, Stu. You keep attacking everyone. Dad, I gotta attack you.
I think that Stampede though is one of the better. Oh, we should say so. Bret fights with Leo Burke, who's a longtime Stampede champion, and obviously the matches with Dynamite Kid. He goes to Japan and has some
Leo
great matches
Burke's
there.
gimmick was? Because I think if I know Calgary and if Leo Burke was the heel, I know what
He
horrible.
loves gasoline. That was his gimmick. He loves.
Yeah, he was. Oh,
gasoline.
I was gonna say, yeah, he was just like, hey, there's some stones. Let's frack them.
He came in, right, and then someone would always be like,
Leo.
"Do you need to throw that paper in the recycling?" And then Leo Burke would stab them to death. They wouldn't know, but they'd have signed a waiver that it's fine that they die.
How they put Leo Burke over is just one person was like, hey, can we acknowledge that Calgary is a haven for the arts and LGBTQ communities because of its proximity to nature and also its affordable living situations and actually surprisingly good artistic grants for the arts at the provincial level? No! Kill him!
Clothesline, but like actually clotheslined with a knife. All right, we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back.
Do not go anywhere. If you get the video, you can see what I was just doing to the microphone, and it was so hot.
We're back from break. John, talk about the Hart Foundation now.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is the end of Stampede Wrestling version 1.0. Stu sells to Vince McMahon. A couple of things in the agreement. You will be paid every month a certain amount of money as long as you don't promote in the territory.
Calgary.
In Calgary. And Stu broke that agreement claiming that Vince had not paid him. And then, of course, by the way, there was a whole fallout and a lawsuit. Vince actually, in this case, was completely in the right. Like Bruce basically just fucked his dad and started Stampede Wrestling up again and fucked his father out of a shitload of money and created problems for the Hart family for the rest of their fucking lives. Because Keith, Stu, right there, Stu should have just killed that kid. Like, he should have just murdered that adult. Like, fuck you, you fucking asshole. Why did you do that? Well, why you did it is because Stu...
what else are you going to do with your life, though? I mean, I understand. To be fair, I do understand it. It's like, what the fuck else am I going to do?
Go hang out in a fucking weird arena and know the stats of all the kids playing hockey like every other weirdo in Calgary, you
But
fuck.
this is the thing. If I was like, John, I'm going to
defend more losers. Defend more losers. You love losers, don't you, Dylan?
I'm going to give you $60,000 a year. You can't do comedy. What are you going to do with your life?
Become a heckler.
Drama? No, you can't interact. You can't do anything. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like...
60 grand is not enough.
You know what I'd do, honestly? I'd move. I'd just be like, if you can't do comedy, I'd be like, all right, I live in Calgary. All right, I live in fucking Edmonton now.
I would just... what I would do is also... like, if that was me, and like 60 grand a year for life, you can't do comedy, I was like, well... I'm off to a fucking beach. Here I come, Brunswick Heads,
Ooh.
New South Wales.
Oh, okay. I thought you were in Wales. I'm going to go beach in Wales. Just rocks and people gang. Get off the beach. It's dangerous on the beach.
Thank God I stepped on that condom. It was some relief for my fucking feet.
Oh, you don't understand. The condoms are the best part of the beach.
Okay, that was an Irish person who, for some reason,
Yeah, I don't know. I just said odd accent.
It was good. I liked it.
Yeah. He moved from Ireland to Wales. Lateral move to some, but he likes it.
Yeah. He likes suffering, but with a different accent.
So, did you know this? The Hart Foundation, Jim the Anvil Neidhart. What do you think of that nickname?
I think it's really good. Also, do you think that Stu for a while was like, your husband has to have Hart in his name? That's how we'll know you're my daughter still.
That's
like,
funny.
What the fuck? Like, do you know how? Because that is his actual name. It's Neidhart. And that's like, what the fuck? It's so weird. It would be like if your son married a woman named Turgot. Like, what the? No, you don't do that.
Turgot.
Don't do that. That's bad. Do not marry someone with a last name close to you.
Yeah, but I mean,
I should have known my marriage was never going to work out, seeing as my ex-wife's last name was Blastings.
It makes sense. You marry Jim the Anvil Neidhart, the only man strong enough to protect you from your father.
Yeah, the only man who doesn't try to protect you from his father. He just gives the dad more ideas. And then what you got to do is just leave for a while and hang out with Jake the Snake Roberts at a motel, baby. Ha ha ha! I got a beret.
I do crack and I'm still way more laid back than you. How does that work?
I do crack and put on weight. I am very stubborn.
So obviously they come in. Neidhart was just by himself for a bit, and then he gets Bret, and I think they're one of the better team pairings of all time because it's like power guy who wrestles the entire match. One guy can do promos. Bret gets to learn for 4 years how to do promos. People don't.
I agree, but I view the tag team dynamic differently, which is
Tell me.
It's very much, it's like Wayne Gretzky and Marty McSorley. It's the fucking franchise player and the goon. Like it's that thing, and even how Bret is presented, it's so interesting. And it's like, this guy's a fucking blue chipper. This guy can fucking do all these moves. And then there's Hart. And also, I love heel Hart found Aviator Bret Hart when they first come into the WWF. So just to finish we all know the history, but I enjoy
time
it.
he's a heel, obviously.
Stampede,
he's been in Stampede for 6 years. He finally gets to be a heel. And basically, it's super easy for him because he's just
literally himself.
Like he
I don't like
acts.
it. I don't like this here. I don't like it here.
No, he's just kind of like a cocky, but like a reserved cocky heel in a way that is a bridge from the 80s style. Because remember, it's the middle 80s. So it's like a kind of a cocky heel that I think would also work now because it's kind of subtle, but that wouldn't have worked in the late 80s because you have like, I have a bunch of money and I invented AIDS.
What's interesting about the hottest periods in wrestling, which would be late 80s and then the late 90s, is there is a weird thing where either it's really two-dimensional characters or unnecessarily three-dimensional characters. You know what I mean? Like it's so like how in-depth the Steve Austin character kind of was, but also really badly wasn't, where it's like, the thing that I always thought was a good detail was he's at the meeting when he becomes CEO, Steve Austin, and they have to go through all the damages he's caused the company on Monday Night Raw. And it's like, oh, that's an interesting bit of like, you're paying attention, but that's almost like too in-depth for wrestling at certain times. While 2D at the end of the 80s was just like, he's the $1 million man and he's got a guy that works for him. I don't know. He's wearing a tearaway suit. Shut the fuck up.
That kind of stuff sorry.
It's what it is that they both lack subtlety. It's also why Bret really didn't gel that well in those times, because Bret is a pretty, like, this is Bret in a nutshell. I'm fine. Like, that's Bret as a guy, and even that cocky heel can be turned up a little bit to be like, I'm better than fine. And you're like, fuck this guy. Or, you know what I mean? Like, that's the level he's operating at. And even at this moment, he's very lucky to be in the position he's in. And it's also this thing that Vince does that no one talks about is he does usually subtly protect the guys he sees something in. Like Bret in that tag team was protected. Bret's career was protected all the way throughout. There wasn't sort of missteps throughout his rise to where he got to by WrestleMania 10. And that you can see that even in the way he's brought in.
Well, also Vince is way less micromanagey during this period, where he's just like, fuck, all these loans are... People, like, we did this in the Vince McMahon year, but it's like, Vince, like, was freaking out about loans and then couldn't micromanage the first match on the card like he does now, clearly.
Yeah,
where
that's
he's
the
seen
other
as
thing.
this, like, genie, all-knowing man now because he's been so successful, but at this point, he's just... exactly Bret Hart. Like, I guarantee him and Bret Hart have a lot to talk about where it's like, yeah, we're just trying to get out of our dad's shadow.
Yeah, I guarantee that that's probably also why they got along so well for so long, and also why Bret felt the betrayal so much. Is like, I thought this fucking guy was my pal.
And we grew together as well.
Yeah.
So, Bret, great. They have Jimmy Hart with them, which can't be understated how great that is. The luck of just all of them being named Hart, and they all have very distinctive looks, is great. I
do like how wrestling fans always be like, man, that was lucky. It was lucky they did that. And it's like, it's wrestling. If they hadn't had someone named Hart, they would have been like, what's your name?
Your name's Hart now.
I'm Chris Lungs. Chris Hart it is. You know what I mean? Like, it's just...
But think about this. Think about the options you have just as an amazing heel manager for this team, because you just fucking throw in Gary Hart, even though it would have been a tough sell. Like
so much better. It would have been so. I love Gary Hart.
Evil,
the biggest,
just evil. The
biggest
Hart
problem with
Foundation.
wrestling is if Gary Hart and for some reason Vince McMahon never got along. It's because Gary Hart was always loyal to the NWA and was someone who believed in that system, and so went against what Vince was doing. He was like,
I don't know. The Hart Foundation came up to me like three shitty, loud guys at a bar who you're like, can you just stop? And they're like, what? You want to fucking fight? You want to fucking fight about it? Of course you don't want to fucking fight.
I completely agree with you. But
versus Gary Hart is like two loud guys at a bar and one guy who's like, I'm planning to burn down the World Trade Center. And you're like, all right.
But that would have worked better, which is just sort of like Gary Hart with his weird rolled up papers, just sort of like, the thing you have to understand, Gene, these gentlemen are not very controllable, Gene.
It's true. It would have been more like the Varsity Club, where it's like a straight up Satanist with some amateur wrestlers.
It would have been like the Varsity Club, not really stupid. Like the thing we all need to remember about the Varsity Club, I've said it before and I'll say it again, so stupid.
Yeah, it's stupid, but it's like, this is wrestling. There's a reason some stupid things don't work, some stupid things do. Anyway, They buy Stampede Wrestling. Vince McMahon, in the simplicity of his own wisdom, not like now, just goes, hey, you know that thing that was good in Stampede Wrestling? Do that, but for my cameras. So the Bulldogs and the Hart Foundation feud.
Oh my God, they put on a fucking clinic. Bear in mind, this is how good this feud was. The Dynamite Kid's spine never recovered.
But that's like...
This feud was so good.
Years, though.
They went into it with 4 spines and 1 dog. And they came out of it
Three
spines, no dog. Where's Matilda by the end of that feud? Matilda is filled with steroids and is dead in a dumpster thanks to Dynamite Kid's awful ways. And he gets what I like to call God's reward, which is your spine goes bye-bye, you awful bitch.
Yeah, Dynamite Kid really suffered for his art.
No, he didn't. Dynamite Kid was a monster and was a stubborn drug addict and wouldn't listen to doctors.
Sorry, made other people suffer for his art.
There we go. That's what it is. I don't also respect... I never have enjoyed the reverence people have for like the Dynamite Kid. They were like, oh my God, he was such an influence on our industry. Who did he influence? The greats, like that guy who murdered his family and no one else.
And then they have something where it's like... Something that I think that's good when you have a really deep tag team division is... They get to just straight up beat the Killer Bees.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, which again, welcome to a Wrestling Review classic moment.
Oh,
take that, B. Brian Blair. See you in hell.
Blair, that son passed away now. R.I.P.
The son that beat him up.
So we can't listen to that episode anymore. Should probably delete that.
Why?
I don't know. We were real slam dunky about how funny it is that his son beat him up.
But that's a tribute to a dead man. I think that
that's
if
true.
if B. Brian Blair had died, then we'd have a problem. But no, it was the son. That son, you know what that son died? That son died wrapped in glory.
Beating up your dad, the greatest thing you can do.
Yeah. Why is there a 10-gun salute at this funeral? That man beat up his own father. I understand.
Up it to 15.
Yeah, exactly. Up to 15, the last 5, those gunmen better be jizzing as well. What? The Army's weird.
It also should be said, the Hart Foundation, one of the greater angles in the early WWF, I think, unsung, evil referee Danny Davis.
Oh yes, it's the better version.
Where his outfit as a wrestler was just more referee stripes.
Absolutely, was referee stripes. Even though referees in the WWF didn't wear referee stripes at the time, also he had
just wore more stripes.
I know it's so
That's
good. He also
amazing.
my favorite thing was also he had the long sleeve T-shirt.
Oh,
Lycra.
he looked like a fucking idiot.
Oh, it was like you just wanted to slap him. Oh, it's so good. And then this is a real unsung great time in Bret's career. And then the Hart Foundation are so good as heels. He's getting these weird shine moments of like getting into certain matches and stuff like that and really shining. He shines so bright at the Battle Royal at the beginning of WrestleMania 4. WrestleMania 4 gets so much shit. WrestleMania 4 is I always think WrestleMania 4 is like, hey, internet wrestling nerds, this is the show for you.
Yeah.
All the guys you go on to like are involved in some
Changing
weird
of the
way.
guard as well. Like, really is a changing of the guard. The Hart Foundation, should be said, win their first tag team title, February 7th, 1987. They beat the Bulldogs.
Yeah, they beat the Bulldogs, and that's the beginning of the Danny Davis sort of situation.
Yeah.
And they lose it to Strike Force. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that was supposed to be the Bulldogs coming back, but at that point, Dynamite Kid's spine has gone kaflooey, so it's time for him to go. Other things that had happened is
that the Nasty Boys are two guys who are like, in my mind, had 10-year careers that was actually like 5 seconds long.
Yeah, like they're just very memorable situations. Like Dynamite Kid, by this point, has had his face broken by one of the Rougeau brothers with some fucking quarters, and I'm going to say, I've said it before and I say it again, good.
And this is the thing, the Hart Foundation have a 10-month reign here, but like it should be said that if you lock that down to shows, that the amount of time that isn't that much more than you would see like a 3-month reign now, just because there's so much more time between shows back then.
Yeah, but they were on the road every night. Like there's so much time between. There was so much time between. TV
well, that's how they made their money
back then.
Yeah,
TV shows back then, but there was so little time between being home because it was just you're on the road 6 nights a week, and on the 7th night you're hiding from your wife because you have whatever ISIS K is. Bret Hart has that equivalent in herpes.
Bret Hart, though, there's no funnier thing than how much of a good person Bret Hart seems just because he's a weed head who loves to cheat. It's like he just didn't do steroids and coke at the same time and then actively try and fight like the weakest people in town.
Yeah, basically
Those are the
what
people
it-
he's up against.
like Bret Hart in wrestling he's basically a guy who caught stealing a bunch of projectors from a high school during a school shooting. Like they're like, you're also not supposed to do that, but like we've got way bigger problems right now.
Yeah, people during Columbine, some guy sees his opportunity and steals the school VCR.
Yeah.
I know they've got Remember the Titans in this. The perfect crime. 2 for 1.
Yeah, I'm in control of the pause button, and let me tell you, that team isn't getting integrated.
Oh, God. I mean, you just made him kind of agree with the shooters, but sure, all right.
Yeah, I mean, this character's not a good guy. He's an opportunist during a school shooter. By the way, that character's name, do you know what that character's name is?
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Hart. That's where he was.
Whoa.
Unaccounted for on April 20th, 1999. Everyone suspects that Keith Hart was stripping the copper out of the pipes of Columbine High School while Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold were doing their dirty, dirty biz.
And so we're switching subjects because we're on a time crunch here, but
Not because
not because I don't want to discuss this further.
Yeah, no, it must be made clear. This riff should continue. We are at a time crunch.
Jimmy Hart turns on the Hart Foundation, goes with Demolition.
No, he does. No, he doesn't.
No, wait, I fucked up. When does Jimmy Hart turn on the Hart Foundation?
He turns on the Hart Foundation. I believe it's in '89, and it's a weird team. I think it might be the Rougeaus of all
the
people.
Rougeaus.
It's the Rougeaus.
The Rougeaus over.
That's right. It gets
Another.
They basically, because it's what it is that the Bulldog, because of Dynamite Kid, what he did in the later years, they never talk about the Bulldog Hart feud, but clearly they were trying to replicate the Bulldog Hart feud with other tag teams in this time because it was such a hot, great undercard feud, and they need those things right there for the touring schedule of the WWF because you're running an A show and a B show, which means one of the shows has to have Hogan go on in the middle and have a really good tag match to satisfy the audience at the end. Like that's the main thing, that's the unwritten thing that's being talked about right now, and it's also why Bret Hart and Neidhart are revered with Vince, is because they can provide one half
can close
of that
the show.
equation.
And the other thing about this is that it's way easier to close a show with a tag match than the Intercontinental title match because you can have the world title in the middle and it's another championship. It's just a different style. So it's not like you're going
Exactly.
peaking in the middle and then having a secondary title at the end where everyone knows the secondary title. You're switching. You're just
It's sort of
switching
like
the view.
It's sort of like if you're watching a porn.
Okay.
You could have money shot in the middle, but you just know you have to end with a lady squirting at the end. We still want to see goo. It's just it's a different type of goo.
Yeah. So we're on your side.
Yep.
We're on your side. So Jimmy Hart finally turns on the old Hart Foundation.
Turns on the Hart
And-
Foundation in the most Canadian move ever. Sides with French Canadians against the boys from Alberta.
Disgusting.
What is Jimmy Hart? The Trudeau government?
And then the Fabulous Rougeaus have an amazing theme song, and they are really just such good shitheads. Like they are such good shitheads that like they can make those dudes who want to fight you in the bar. They're like the manager who you're like, yeah, these guys shouldn't fight in the bar, but I hate that fucking manager.
Yeah,
It's
this
like
guy's a
analogies
fucking little fuck.
Yeah. And also people that these guys are familiar with working with. So it's another like easy
Yeah.
feud.
Brett and Sean first tangle in the Rockers sort of Heart Down Foundation fan favorite feud in '89.
Well, that's the fake. That's the title change that never happened because.
Well, no, we're not there yet because first they have to beat Demolition in '90 at SummerSlam in what I feel is the best. And we very rarely recommend matches on this program, but I'm going to recommend this one. 2 out of 3 falls: Demolition versus Heart Foundation, Crush and Smash with Bill Eadie Axe serving as manager is the best tag team match the WWF has ever put on. It is a fucking clinic. It is so exciting in an era of every match having at least a 2-minute rest hold. It is so fucking fun with such a great ending that we will somewhat soft spoil in a second, but is so fucking good how they do it. The Hart Foundation win that title. They win that match. because of interference from the Legion of Doom. Surprise! And then they lose that title to the Rockers. That never happens. The ring ropes break. The match doesn't seem like it goes very well. Sean, I think, is still butthurt, and Bret is very happy about it still. And the Rockers never get a tag team title, and Bret continues to just be like, hey, Sean, you're a little bitch. Hey, Sean, you're a little bitch.
It's very... That's why people love to talk about how deep this era of WWF tag teams is, because, and I believe this about all titles, it's not defined by who carries the title, it's defined by who doesn't. And the fact that the Rockers never got to be tag team champions really strengthens that title.
It's like how bad is you'll know how bad your problem is when you find out the solution. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And it's also like the exact same thing goes for the world title. How exclusive was the WWF world title? Mr. Perfect was never the champion.
Yeah.
Ted DiBiase was never the champion. Like these are
but Ted DiBiase he should never have been.
Should have never been the champion.
That's right.
Oh, because he's so much money he feels above it, I guess.
I just don't care.
Also, those like shitty heels, those Saturday morning shitty heels, why not? I don't know. Mr. Perfect was great though. Anyway. I mean, it would have been hard to
for those of you who didn't get the video, by the way, Dylan's crying.
Why did he have to go? Hey, Kurt, why?
Kurt, why didn't you become a commentator after the airplane from hell? You wouldn't have done all those druggies.
Well, this is why Bret goes on his singles run, is because Neidhart gets fired for fucking with someone on a plane. No, yeah.
Being cool.
Yeah. But he fucks with someone on a plane.
Yeah, a.k.a. being fucking cool.
But you know this incident, right? Happens in the air. Neidhart fucks with a flight attendant, and there's like a major lawsuit. The flight attendant is clearly right. It's another like this 300-pound man got fucking smashed in the air and was like, "No rules, motherfuckers!" And then,
what is it with wrestlers and they think that once you're not on the ground, there's no laws? Isn't that fun?
Dude, pre 9/11, I didn't fly because I was 16 years old pre 9/11, but like my mom was like, you could bring like you could bring sandwiches and shit on there. And then when they started, we're like, okay, there was a terrorist attack. We need to take this very seriously, and part of that is no fucking bringing food in. You're buying that $18 sandwich, bitch.
Yeah, well, it's like my dad used to always just walk.
Which goes to show that my how my family works is they were just complaining about the fact that they can't
free
stuff
sandwiches.
their
It's not the
pockets
idea
with
that
food.
liberties are eroded. It's like, wait a minute.
Let me get buy food for fucking 3 days. I got this cooler on this fucking plane. That's how my family works.
Pack of ham. That's $2.99.
Oh yeah. You don't make the sandwiches beforehand. You bring the bread and the meat so that the sandwiches stay fresh.
So they're not soggy. Yeah, I wasn't fucking born yesterday, Dylan.
Thank you. Some people don't know this, John.
Yeah, well, some people fucking can suck a fart out of my asshole.
And that costs not as much money as you think.
Yeah, but is it as good as a sandwich I'm going to make you, you diarrhea breath?
Can I have a massage with a happy ending? That's right. We're going to watch Die Hard. That's one of my little jokes I said.
I want to just, you see this? You see this right here, Dylan?
Oh, he's showing his dick. Yeah, I see it.
It's pretty hard, right? It's because it likes being around you.
1990, Dean Hart dies of a heart attack. Stu Bret puts him in the sharpshooter at the funeral, and he does.
Yeah, the funeral is stopped midway because Helen is trying to quiet. Helen starts crying, and Stu Hart demands to be taken home so as not to be embarrassed around this hysterical woman.
Oh, I should say this. Sorry, I did miss. But the heart attack he died of was because Jim lifted him up and Bret clotheslined him.
Oh yeah.
They used the finishing move and killed his brother.
The heart attack. Yeah.
Yes.
Dean would have lived, but Jim the Anvil Neidhart and Bret Hart arrived at the hospital to quote unquote make him feel better, but they kept doing the air quotes, and the doctors didn't know that was a thing yet because it was Canada, and so they were absolved of all charges.
Yeah. But it should be said this as we wrap up on the Hart Foundation.
I'm so glad we're wrapping up. I'm literally turtling as we're speaking.
I think it speaks to, obviously, Bret Hart, one of the best wrestlers of all time, and he switches from just general wrestler, who's like, when he does wrestle, his singles finishing move is a pile driver, and a flying clothesline is his tag finisher, to becoming a submission wrestler in our next stanza, him in the WWF as a singles.
Yeah, and it's, again, They lose the title that they won from Demolition to the Nasty Boys at WrestleMania 7 in the best match the Nasty Boys ever had in the WWF. They then just basically sort of float in the wind. Bret starts his solo run. Like, there's a weird thing of they never really break up because Jim the Anvil Neidhart just pops off to do all the coke for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of works that way. You know what I mean? Like, it's sort of like, and then they're gone. And like that, Dylan, they're gone.
But it's true. Like,
but it also works.
Neidhart has
it
to leave because of his thing, and it's nice that they
But it
don't
never gives
even do that breakup.
Yeah, it never gives a definite underline from it because it's like, yeah, they're brother. It's just something happened and they're not doing the tag team thing, but they'll be back together. That's why in fucking 9 years when they bring in the new Hart Foundation, the Hart Foundation Canada versus America angle for personally my favorite, the best told angle in the history of the WWF, something that is impossible, or 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
They do that angle. It makes total sense, which is Jim the Anvil Neidhart and Bret Hart never said they weren't friends. We all just believed it. Like, it's, again, what's amazing about the late 90s is there's so much mythos and legend in wrestling to pay off from. You can do that, and they just make all of they just don't do certain things, and then they're able to pay them off accidentally because it goes, oh, this fits perfectly in, like the Undertaker's streak, all of that sort of stuff. And then Bret starts his singles run, and I got to tell you, this is the best part of Bret's singles run. We're going to talk about it next week, but this is Bret, like, Ric Flair's the champion. Bret becomes the champion for no reason. He's so boring. He is sleeping with so many people that are not his wife. Ladies and gentlemen, come next week. Because that's the Bret Hart that's not the Bret Hart we need. That's the Bret Hart we want.
What do you think? All right, we'll skip best and worst because it's Bret Hart. What do you think the high point and low point of his during?
High point is that demolition match in this point, and low point is every moment of his childhood until he left his childhood home.
I'm going to say that. Probably the high point is when he thought he was going to be a filmmaker, and the low point is getting into professional wrestling.
That's beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, I do
could have just been a guy who gets high. He could have just been a buff dude who, like I said,
could have been us. A buff dude who knows a lot about wrestling. That's you and me, baby.
But I mean, Bret Hart now is just a jacked dude with a YouTube channel, ton of subscribers, fitness, and how to organize your drawers.
Yeah.
He's
my God.
A jacked guy Marie Kondoing things, and he's like talking about weed.
Yeah, he's a billionaire. He would be a billionaire.
100%. Then, of course, traveled the world. I think he'd still cheat on his wife. I think that stays the same.
Yeah. We can disagree on the minutia, but the pillar, the load-bearing pillar of Bret Hart's psychological house, cheating on his wife.
Also,
when he said
the best there is,
the best there was, and the best there ever will be, he's not talking about wrestling, Dylan. He's talking about disrespecting the sanctity of marriage.
It just makes it way hotter when you're married to someone else.
Yeah, it's so much better when your wife's calling and you're just having sex with someone she knows.
Also, read his book.
I don't need to be at the parent-teacher meeting. I had sex with that teacher. He'll be fine.
Also, there's a lot of, if you read his book, there's one specific moment where he talks about a sick-ass three-way he had.
It's also really good because he always gets into the minutia of the flight details he had to change.
He does.
Like, it's like, I can't recommend that. That book is it's really hard to be a comedian and like wrestling. The reason why comedians like wrestling a lot is because wrestlers' real lives written down are objectively the funniest. I was about to win the WWF championship, but I've switched my flight to Italy so I could go have sex with a lady. You're like,
well,
what are you doing?
Like Bret Hart, if you read a lot of athletes' biographies, Bret Hart really does treat it like he's an athlete. That's a lot of like athletes' biographies are like, hey, here's my big reveal and my dark secret. I smoked some weed. And since it's like a Puritan football player, in the media, they're like, that's terrible. And I cheated on my wife. That's terrible. And then you read a wrestler's biography like, yeah, and that's when I invented running over a series of kids, which I call the Big Five. And then they treat that as like a funny thing. Or like a Steiner Brothers thing is like, that's when I what now we would call jail time for 10 years, but then we called pranked a guy.
Yeah, that's why I bought a Shoney's, because I needed a meat grinder to dispose of the bodies, and they don't ever ask anything about Shoney's. Scott Steiner.
All right, so we got to go right goddamn now. Please join us at Wrestler Review on Twitter and Instagram, at Dylan God on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. John, plug stuff.
I'm at the John Hastings on all social media. I have a 5 days a week podcast / Twitch stream at twitch.tv/untitled Twitch stream. Dylan has not appeared on it because he has a family, and I feel bad asking people to come on the things that have families, and it would be a weird, uncomfortable time for him to do it. So, ladies and gentlemen, go to Untitled Twitch stream at twitch.tv/untitled Twitch stream. I love you. Also, I've been remembering to plug this podcast on other podcasts. So for those of you that are joining us from the Goods in the Woods Sputnik Monroe episode, welcome to the Cum Monkeys, friends. I hope you enjoy a lot of jizz talk.
Fuck shit.
Go to our
piss,
Patreon
ass.
to get the video version of this podcast. Also, Dylan God.
We have 1 million episodes on Patreon. Latest one is our Hogan Knows Best episode 2 watch along. We do a bunch of other ones. We got to go. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye-bye.
Fuck you.